Welcome to the video. We're doing a little impromptu video here, just talking about blood tests, vitamin B12, weight loss, all the good stuff, sunglasses. Sean gave me these. I found these the other day in my room. Remember Sean from 1 Minute a Day? Sean, if you're still alive, click us an email, bro. That's how I know you're going. Vitamin B12. This is a huge one. A huge one. Some blood tests from me. Recently I did a video about the blood test after 18 years vegan. This video is about what vegans need to know about B12. What everybody should know about it. You know, there's so many good references and resources out there. It's very, very basic. Right? This is very, very basic. Vitamin B12, I would say, would probably be the most important nutrient, vitamin, whatever you want to call it. Let's call it a vitamin. Vitamin B12, let's call it a vitamin. For human performance, you know, of all the vitamins, the ones where people can really fuck up the most would be vitamin B12. From what I've seen, mental decline, metabolic issues, weight gain, fatigue, anemia, performance drive down. Like I said again, depression, anxiety, all this stuff, listlessness, just from having low vitamin B12. I know myself, when I started using vitamin B12 injections in 2009, 2010, my fitness in 2009 was like that, going down. 2010, up. And, you know, the blood test showed what was going on. My hemoglobin went up. I had a doctor friend say, your B12's fine, Harley, but what would it be like if we got it up more? I know that your cycling performance would go up. And he had me on the spot. I was like, hang on, yeah, cycling performance going up, safety, not banned, I'm in. Try it out. Works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And so I did that. Cycling, bang. And so age 42, I'm 42 now, super fit still, you know, always got good hemoglobin. So that's a big one. And so whenever I'm coaching athletes now, I always say, you got any blood tests to share, you know, especially performance athletes, people who want to go to the next level and they don't want to use EPO or whatever. And here's the thing, why would someone use EPO when they could use vitamin B12 and get the hemoglobin up naturally? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, how many cyclists out there, or runners, or swimmers, use EPO to get the hemoglobin up, hematocrit up? Hemoglobin is more important than hematocrit anyway, just ask Dr. Ferrari. When they could just use, they were doing all the risks of EPO, the expense, well, it's not that expensive, but it's a lot more expensive than B12, all the risks with it, when they could just use vitamin B12 and get the hemoglobin up. You know what I mean? I'm just thinking, duh, why would you risk it? You know, why? And why wouldn't you use vitamin B12 injections to boost your performance? What, like, oh, if it's an injection, it's not... If you're that narrow-minded that delivering a vitamin intramuscularly is bad, then I can't really help you, and you're not serious about your performance at a natural level. Because how is injecting a vitamin natural? You'd have a lot of debates. You could say, well, I could say, how is wearing clothes natural? We wouldn't have clothes in nature. How is riding a bike natural? We don't have carbon fiber bikes in nature. How is running in Nike Next Percents natural? How is having refined sugar natural? How is having fruit delivered to you natural? How is sleeping on a bed natural? How is, you know, how is going to a hospital when you get bitten by a snake natural? How is using a mobile phone natural? How is watching a YouTube video to learn natural? Like, if you want to use the natural argument, you know what I mean? How far down the rabbit hole do you want to go with it? So I'm a big believer in human performance. And that's, if you look at the people I've coached over the years, especially my girlfriends, they all come from a non-cycling background. They follow my advice and they fucking launch up like that. And primarily a lot of that is due to, obviously, nutrition, the carbohydrate. That's the big one. That's the biggest. But in terms of blood values, what I look for is, let's just do them on the injections. If they don't want to get blood taken out, okay, let's just do the injections and see what happens. And what I notice is it's just like up like that. You know, there's definitely boosts there. I just notice, and I don't even, you know, people say it's psychosomatic, and yeah, to a degree, but no, it's like psychosomatic is a huge one. But if you're like, you know, if you can't do something and you want to do something, then there's a problem, all right? There's a problem there. But I would recommend people just do the B12 shots and see how you go. I was having a discussion with an athlete today, and they're like, oh, I don't do injections. And I'm like, why do all this hard training then? You're running your body into the ground. I don't want to do blood tests. Well, every athlete should do blood tests. You're damaging your body. If your testosterone is low, your thyroid is low, or your hormones are low and you're training the fucking house down, you're damaging your body. That's not good. You're anemic, you got low hemoglobin, and you're just training. What are you doing? Why? That's silly. I want to get lean and toned. Yeah, but that's just going to give you glandular fever, mental health issues. What? When you could just solve that largely with just taking a couple of vitamins or whatever. Or cut your training back. Train smarter versus harder. Go to bed more. Eat more carbs. Or whatever. We have so many things we can tweak. And I was talking to a pro cyclist the other day. I won't mention what team. And I was like, no one's testing your blood? Like, what? Like, you don't know what your hemoglobin is? What? How does that work? You don't do B12 shots? What? I mean, it's crazy out there. People assume if you sign up with a pro team that you get taken care of. Nah. Maybe if you're like one of the big dogs you do, but generally you have a private doctor taking care of you. The team doctor is just there as a bit of a show. But the big gun athletes, the big runners, cyclists have a personal doctor that they liaise with for many reasons. But the blood tests are very, very frequent to see where your hemoglobin is, to see where your testosterone is, to see where your cortisol and all these other things, where they are before you do a big block of training or after the training. And then you go, actually, that was probably too much. We dug it too deep. Next year, we'll do a little bit less. Because what happened is you did 1,200 Ks this week at this threshold or whatever. Next year, you'll do 900, get the same results, be fresher, blah, blah, blah. And so it's a very mathematical approach, which is over the top of a lot of people. And this video itself is probably not answering a lot of questions for people. If you have any questions about B12, hit us up down below. Basically, if you're relying on meat for B12, you're in danger, in my opinion, in my experience. My opinion based on my experience dealing with thousands of athletes over the last 23 years. If you're relying on, I eat meat, I'm not one of those vegan hippies, I'm fine. You know, I eat oysters, I eat fish, I eat raw meat, I eat dirt and my potatoes, I'm fine. I've got enough B12, I take a pill. Yeah, well, you might be getting enough, and you might not either. So if you're, it's crazy. It's like, I'm a mechanic, worked on my car, it's fine. It's like, well, if you want to pass responsibility on someone else's, for your safety, bit of a gamble. For me, I like certainty in life, and that's why I do B12 injections, which I've hardly done this year even, because my hemoglobin's so high as it is. And it's high enough, so for me, B12 injections, they raise hemoglobin. If my hemoglobin's up, I don't do them. My hemoglobin's dropping down, on the B12. Simple as that. People go, here you go, you just need your meat. The amount of meat-eating athletes that I see who send me their blood tests and say, Harley, how can I improve? I'm like, man, you're anemic. You eat meat, you're anemic, bro. You're low B12, you got low hemoglobin. Don't rely on the meat. And I've seen that over and over the last decade, man. A decade I've been on the B12 injection wagon, reading blood tests, etc. And before that, I was very closed-minded. I was like, oh, no B12 supplementation admits that, if your supplement means that your diet doesn't work, it's, I would disagree with that now. Because you might have a genetic need for more B12. You might be doing a way higher workload that you would have in nature. In nature, how many people would be working 70 hours a week behind a computer or busting all the stress and the money and all that extra stress that we have in society today that we didn't have 10 years ago, 50 years ago. Even the average 20-year-old today has a lot more stress, first world problem stress, than they did even 5 years ago. The pressure on Instagram to look a certain way or to blah, blah, blah. I can handle all the haters and blah, 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 but imagine the average person out there, they get a bit of hate or whatever for their hairstyle, their shirt or their teeth or their face or their bike or their husband or girlfriend or kids or cat or dog or rat or whatever. And people can't handle that level of criticism and they rupture themselves emotionally. So I would say the average 20-year-old has a lot more stress than 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And a lot of that means you need more B12. Means you need more sleep. Means you need more carbohydrate. Means you need less fat. But we're seeing the opposite of that. We're seeing less sleep, we're seeing more prescriptions, we're seeing less carbs, and we're seeing mental health. It's going up. You might not disagree with me, you might hate my guts, but you have to agree with me. Mental health is going up in terms of diagnoses and conditions and going to emergency wards and stuff like that. It's going up, it ain't going down. And I've got some friends who work in mental health, and they're like, Harley, man, it's a shitstorm out there. It's getting worse. And this is Adelaide, Australia. There's Vice documentaries out there in Florida, LA. It's a fucking shitstorm out there. And I would love to know what's the B12 levels of a lot of these kids who are having mental health issues. I'd love to know. They don't test that in the hospital. They're like, okay, you've got psychosis, we'll give you this drug. We sell this drug, we'll give you that. There's no checking of B12. They're like, what? Huh? None of that at all. And I deal with that all the time. You know, family members or neighbours or people just objecting to vitamin B12 injections. Because it's like, I'm not some junkie. Okay, so an insulin needle is what heroin addicts, etc. use to administer intravenous drugs, heroin. And I use insulin needles to administer vitamin B12. So people are like, that's like you're a junkie using needles. And it's like, man, if you're that close-minded that you think taking a vitamin intramuscularly is the same as using heroin, man, you got some issues. You've got a B12 deficiency, in my opinion. If your brain doesn't work properly, that you can't see the vast difference there. It's like drawing a spider on a piece of paper and putting it on your hand and freaking out about it. Oh my God, there's a spider on my hand. Dude, it's a fucking paper spider. Oh, some people would freak out, wouldn't they? Or you put a rubber spider on the hand, they're freaking out, they're losing their chops. I would say this person has B12 deficiency. Paranoia, etc. is a sign of B12 deficiency. Anyway, I recommend B12 shots. Let's start some discussion. This video is going to be helpful for some, not for others. Let's have some discussion down below, so some follow-up. I don't recommend using pills because they may or may not work. I don't recommend eating meat because it may or may not work. Actually, the only clinically thing proven to work is vitamin B12 injections. Nothing's been proven 100% of the time, okay? Just don't hit your eyeball when you put it in your body. That's exactly the thing. The bottom line is nothing ever has been clinically proven to work at 100% effectiveness other than vitamin B12 injections, right? Intramuscularly. Simple as that. So you can debate and discuss and say meat, eat oysters, eat pills, eat dirt, eat spirulina, eat hippie dust, whatever. Some of that shit might work, but isn't clinically proven 100% of the time. It just fucking works, man. Injections, get on it. Your call. It's your life, man. It's your quality of life, all right? I'm living mine. You live yours. Your choice.